All hell is breaking loose as Donald Trump's trip to China has been abruptly canceled as a result of Trump's disastrous war in Iran. Donald Trump has been talking about this summit to China, which was supposed to take place at the end of March into early April, where Donald Trump was going to meet with Xi Jinping, and Donald Trump said how important it was going to be for the United States economy. Well, Donald Trump is now purportedly canceling this trip to China, and Donald Trump says he needs to be at home while this war is taking place. Now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent previously said that Donald Trump canceling a trip to China would have nothing to do with China not helping the United States secure the Strait of Hormuz, but it should be noted that Donald Trump has continued to beg China for help in the Strait of Hormuz, and as we've been talking about here on the MeidasTouch network, China is allied with Iran and Russia and North Korea. Why would they be helping Donald Trump out in the Strait of Hormuz? It appears that there are limited fuel ships that are being able to get safe passage from Iran through the Strait of Hormuz, which are traveling very close to the Iranian shoreline. Those are likely Chinese or perhaps Indian flagged ships based on the fact that they're having these bilateral discussions with Iran. But China has no interest in helping the United States, and Iran is saying publicly that China is helping it economically and militarily. We've heard from the foreign minister of Iran saying as much. I will play that for you in a moment. Now, according to PBS News, Trump has confirmed that his China trip later this month in meeting with Xi will likely be delayed due to the conflict with Iran, stating, "I'd love to go, but I have to be here because of the war," adding that the trip is expected to be delayed into late April. That's like Donald Trump saying 2 weeks, 2 more weeks. I have a feeling that this trip is not going to be taking place anytime soon. Now, in China, Xi Jinping and the regime there, they've already been mocking Donald Trump and saying that the Trump regime is not prepared to even show up to China. They've been saying that the U.S. has not been focused on any logistics. They've not been doing any planning. China was calling them out publicly. Bloomberg reported on this the other day. With 3 weeks until Donald Trump meeting Xi Jinping, Beijing is frustrated by what it sees as insufficient U.S. preparation that may limit the landmark summit to trade agreements and leave key diplomatic and security matters untouched. I want to just share with you right here what Iran's foreign minister Araghchi said with respect to Russia and China, that they are Iran's strategic partners politically, economic, and militarily, and this includes military cooperation. I mean, they're saying it publicly here. Play this clip.
Well, Russia and China are our strategic partners, and we have had close cooperation in the past, which is still continues, and that includes military cooperation as well. I'm not going into any details of that. Good cooperation with these two countries, politically, economically.
So why that was difficult for Donald Trump to grasp is, definitely concerning, but it's also concerning that Donald Trump's been repeating that it came as a total surprise to him that Iran had decided to strike the Arab nation neighbors of it. Donald Trump said nobody ever expected this. Not anybody. 0 people expected this. I mean, you may have followed, I don't know, the fact that Iran and Russia and China were involved in military drills right in the Strait of Hormuz weeks leading up to Donald Trump's unlawful invasion of Iran. Remember, we reported that on the MeidasTouch network, that they were doing kind of military drills there. Or you remember when it was reported that Iran was nearing a deal to buy supersonic anti-ship missiles from China, the CM-302 supersonics that have this huge range of 290 kilometers, flying low and fast to evade ship defenses. Reuters was reporting on that. And one of the things, too, that Donald Trump has done in order to try to make this visit happen to China was when China said to Donald Trump, you can't give Taiwan this $12 to $13 billion defense package that was congressionally appropriated. Donald Trump's like, okay, I guess we can't give them that money, and betrayed Taiwan. Donald Trump took out the THAAD and Patriot systems from South Korea. Those 5,000 Marine Expeditionary Unit forces that are heading to the Middle East now because Donald Trump's threatening a ground invasion in Iran at the Karg Island. Remember that? Well, those troops come from Japan. So you want to know who's left very vulnerable? Our allies in Asia, or I should say our former allies in Asia, because Donald Trump has utterly screwed them over. Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and then Donald Trump expects them to want to help in the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump expects China to help the United States in the Strait of Hormuz when China's allied with Iran. It is so utterly pathetic. And over the past few weeks, we've been hearing, since this war has started, the Chinese embassy in the U.S. and its foreign minister Wang Yi putting forward statements like this. Taiwan has been an integral part of China since ancient times. It never was and is not and never will be a country. Its return to China is a victorious outcome of the Chinese people's war of resistance against Japanese aggression and the Second World War. Its status has been definitively fixed by a series of international legal instruments. Any attempt to create two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan is doomed to fail. Resolving the Taiwan question and realizing the complete reunification of our motherland is a historic process that cannot be stopped. Those who support it are on the right side of history. Those who defy it shall perish. Okay, those are pretty strong and unambiguous words about what's happening. Combine that with the fact that, as AFP reports, thousands of Chinese fishing boats have been massing in geometric formations in the East China Sea in coordinated actions that experts believe are part of Beijing's preparations for a potential regional crisis or conflict. Beijing is getting ready in the area, and the U.S. has capitulated its support in Asia. U.S. looking utterly weak right now, and obviously Donald Trump's generals and admirals who are also telling him, get the hell out of Iran right now. We're coming up with exit strategies for you. Get out. Get out. We'll try to mitigate this exit, but you shouldn't be there right now. Every day that passes is getting worse for the United States right now and will make it harder to get out. I think those same generals are warning him, you can't go to China right now. Are you kidding? If you go to China, it is an utter betrayal to Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan right now. And I think that is a big part of what Donald Trump is behind Donald Trump's decision also, that he's being also pressured by his generals.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in.
I want to talk about other critical international news as well, because there are a lot of developments happening also. I think a critical development right now is hearing from lots of foreign leaders about Donald Trump's threats and Donald Trump's weakness. I mean, you had the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez talking about how real allies are like real friends. They tell each other the truths no matter what. And Trump keeps on lying. Here's what the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said. Here, play this clip.
At the end of the day, it's also true that, real allies are like real friends. They tell each other the truth, no matter what. And when it comes to our relationship with the U.S., the whole European Union, it is true that we want to keep that transatlantic bond. But if you go into the details, what you see is that we have an open trade war, which was opened unilaterally by the U.S. administration. There's also a question mark when it comes to the respect of our territorial integrity. That means Greenland. And of course, Europe is not in the negotiations process when it comes to the security European architecture and the end of the Ukrainian war.
And Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said regarding Israel today, let's play this clip.
I think Netanyahu is a war criminal.
That is not my duty to respond it, but I think that Israel today is more isolated internationally than before the war. And why is that? Because Prime Minister Netanyahu took a very wrong decision when it comes to respond to this Hamas terrorist attack, which, by the way, we, of course, condemn it since day one.
Here's what Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said on Iran. Let's play it.
Well, there's actually no common position even in the U.S. Politics within the U.S. Society. So this is a unilateral war that has been started by two nations, by two governments, without consulting, without coordinating with their allies. And this is, I think, very, very, very important to keep in mind.
What about European Union's Kaja Kallas, who's their vice president and top foreign minister advisor? Kallas said that they're very disturbed that the U.S. removed sanctions from Russia over Russian oil. Like, what are you doing there, Donald? Here, play this clip.
Following the U.S. decision to ease sanctions on Russian oil, Europe will maintain sanctions and continue to move away from Russian fossil fuels. If we want this war to end, Moscow must have less money for the war.
Should also be noted that, with other news, that Cuba's electrical grid has completely collapsed on Monday, causing a nationwide blackout for the first time since the U.S. has effectively cut off any of their supplies. One of the things, or any of their oil. A U.S. and Cuban, as this is what New York Times is reporting, as U.S. and Cuban officials negotiate over the future of the communist-ruled and economically besieged Caribbean island nations, Trump is seeking to push their president Miguel Diaz-Canel from power in Havana in a move that, similar to recent actions in Venezuela, would topple a key figurehead but leave in place the communist repressive government that has ruled Cuba since 1959. Americans have signaled to Cuban negotiators that Diaz-Canel must go, but are leaving the next steps up to the Cubans. In other words, keep the communist regime, keep the Castro-led regime essentially in power, but just remove that one guy. The same way we did with Delcy Rodriguez replacing Maduro. You can keep the power structure in place. We're not trying to do democracy in Cuba. We're not trying to do democracy in Venezuela. Just continue the regime, but allow Donald Trump to enrich himself off of this. Which we saw yesterday, Donald Trump threatening to invade Cuba now, as though the disastrous war in Iran is not enough. Here's what Donald Trump said when he threatened Cuba yesterday. Here, play this clip.
I was just with a fantastic person who's Cuban and made a fortune in sugar, Fanjul family, right? And this family wants to go back to Cuba to visit it. They haven't been back in like 50 years or something. They largely come from Cuba. And we'll see what happens. They were asking me about that. They want to go back. Not only Fanjul, a lot of Cubans have said, oh boy, would they love to go back. I think Cuba, I don't know, is in its own way, if tourism and everything else, it's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change, They won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba's the end. All my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor. Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. Castro was a very violent leader. His brother's a very violent leader. Extremely violent. That's how they governed. They governed with violence. But a lot of people would like to go back.
Now, just going back to China for a moment, I'll just remind you that Donald Trump's been saying that our actions in Iran have really been helping China. Just an odd thing to say. Here, play this clip.
About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. It doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits.
Or then Donald Trump using state regime media like Fox, like Jesse Waters, to say that this is checkmate, we dominate China now. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Play this clip.
They constantly interrupt the free flow of oil through the Strait. It jacks up prices, it jacks up premiums, it boosts inflation. And China buys all the cheap sanctioned oil. That's not going to happen anymore because what we've done here is now with Venezuela and Iran, we've basically tipped over two petro dictatorships, both proxies of Russia and Iran. It weakens both of those countries. And we now control almost the entire world oil market. And we've kicked out Russia and China from the Middle East, an oil-rich region right in the middle of the world trade from Asia to Europe. That's where all the goods and energy flows. So if this is a successful mission, this is what you call checkmate.
I covered this yesterday on the MeidasTouch podcast, but the German defense minister and Germany's chancellor, they're out there saying, we ain't, just like all nations, like we're not helping you in the Strait of Hormuz. We did not start this war, German defense minister says. What does the world expect? What does Donald Trump expect from a handful or two handfuls of European frigates to achieve there in the Strait of Hormuz, which the powerful American Navy cannot manage alone? It's not our war. We didn't start it. You have Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz on the war saying, the region must not slide into an eternal war with unclear goals. This war must be brought to an end with a clear plan, with a strategy. We're not participating in this war. We said from day one that remains the case for us. As long as the war continues, we will not participate in it with military means to ensure free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. To this day, we are not aware of any concept as to how such an operation could succeed at all. The United States of America and Israel did not consult us before the war. Regarding Iran, there has never been a joint decision on the whether. Therefore, the question of how Germany will get involved militarily here does not arise. We will not do it. And also, just point this out, as Donald Trump is canceling this trip to China, he's already admitting today's March 17th, March 18th. March 17th, March 18th. So Donald Trump's already thinking in his mind, okay, well, this war is not going to end through early April. That's why he claims he's canceling this trip to China at this point. He goes, maybe late April we'll do it. Xi Jinping's not going to want to meet with him in late April. This is going to further escalate. I expect what you'll see happening as Donald Trump is learning about China's help in Iran is that Trump's going to get further bogged down in Iran. And it's a real, serious problem right now. But we're going to be covering it every step of the way here on the MeidasTouch Network. I did a video early today where I showed the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad getting hit by these Iranian drones. A hotel in Baghdad getting hit by Iranian drones. In UAE, you have the The airspace above UAE temporarily closed, all of it, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. I mean, as these Iranian drones continue to strike the airports there, you have Iran showing that its FPVs, its first-person view drones, can fly around the green zone with impunity. We saw that. We saw more attacks on Bahrain. And they're being helped by Iran. They're being helped by Russia. You heard the Iranian foreign minister for yourself say it. Anyway, that's where we're at. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thank you so much for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.